Woo! Help me welcome Jim Keena! Hello, Milford, Michigan. How are you? It's a great day for a tea party, isn't it?
Yeah!
You know, on a day like this, I can almost see November from my front porch. You know, tea partiers are often accused of being extremists.
Yeah! Yeah!
The accusers intend it as an insult, but I wear it as a badge of honor.
Yeah!
I embrace Barry Goldwater's view of extremism. He said, I quote, "Extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice, and moderation in the pursuit of justice is no virtue," end quote. Goldwater outlined our path in his book, Conscience of a Conservative. He said, I quote, "I do not undertake to promote welfare, for I propose to extend freedom. My aim is not to pass laws, but to repeal them. It is not to inaugurate new programs, but to cancel old ones that do violence to the Constitution." End quote. Likewise, we Tea Partiers are extremists who insist on a limited government constrained by the U.S. Constitution.
Yes!
We are extremists who insist on holding our elected officials accountable to that Constitution.
Yes!
And we are extremists who are going to take back this country on behalf of we the people. Today, our country is at war. Unlike other wars, we are not being attacked by foreign invaders. Instead, we are being assaulted by domestic enemies, radicals who seek to take more and more of our wealth and liberty. We are going to fight these radicals at the ballot box.
Yeah!
The Tea Party movement is waging a political battle with these domestic aggressors in Washington and Lansing. Our mission is to remove them from their offices, no matter which side of the aisle that they sit on.
Yeah!
It is up to us to save America. As Ronald Reagan said, I quote, "We are a nation that has a government, not the other way around."
Yeah!
End quote. We've had great successes in this war already. In just 1 year, the Tea Party movement has gone from being a laughingstock to being a force that politicians are clearly frightened of.
Yeah!
The Tea Party movement has a higher favorability rating than Congress, the President, and both major political parties. Our movement helped retake the governorship in Virginia.
Yeah!
Our movement helped retake the governorship in New Jersey.
Yeah!
And in one of the most glorious of all victories, our movement helped take Ted Kennedy's seat in Massachusetts. Scott Brown instantly became a hero when he reminded voters that the office he was seeking did not belong to Ted Kennedy. It did not belong to a particular party. It belonged to the people, and the people took it.
Yeah!
The first three words of our sacred Constitution are, "We the people."
Hallelujah!
We the people are the masters of every single bureaucrat and politician in America. We can hire them and fire them, and a whole bunch of them deserve to be fired.
Yeah!
In the coming elections, we must assert our will. To firm our resolve, let's review some of the horrific threats to our republic. First, our leaders are mocking us. Florida Congressman Alcee Hastings said, quote, "There ain't no rules here. We make them up as we go along," end quote.
Yeah.
Ironically, he's a member of the Rules Committee in Congress.
Yeah.
He apparently is not aware of the U.S. Constitution.
Yeah.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. I'm just reporting the news. Nancy Pelosi said of the health care bill, I quote, "We have to pass the bill so that you can find out what's in it," end quote. Here's an alternative, Nancy. Post the bill online so that everyone can read it beforehand, including you and the president.
Yeah. Thank you.
Barack Obama said in his State of the Union address that he was concerned. He was concerned about reckless government spending and the soaring deficit. 1 week later, he introduced the biggest budget in U.S. history with a deficit 4 times bigger than any other in history.
Yeah.
Marxist!
Let's talk about that spending in Washington. Obama's new budget totals $3.7 trillion. It is 1,600 pages thick. How many of our leaders do you think actually read it? Washington recently passed a government takeover of health care. This will cost another $1 trillion over 10 years, but only if you believe that pigs can fly. No new government entitlement program has ever come close to its initial cost estimates. They've already announced that costs have gone up by another $100 billion, and the program hasn't even started yet. The good news is that Fidel Castro congratulated us on our government takeover of healthcare.
Yeah. There you go.
The bad news is that Cuba recently announced that they're cutting back healthcare services because they can't afford them.
Yeah.
America, meet your future.
Yeah. Thank you.
Washington's spending is causing massive debt. The budget deficit in 2010 is $1.6 trillion. That is 43% of the total budget. So in other words, the government is borrowing almost half of what it is spending. Explain that to your kids carefully, because they're the ones that are going to pay it back someday. In the next decade, the government is going to add $9 trillion to the national debt. Half of it will be just interest expense on earlier debt. We will borrow $4.8 trillion in the next 10 years just to pay interest.
Not on my watch!
In 10 years, our total debt is going to be $20 trillion. That's $67,000 for every man, woman, and child in the United States.
I don't have it!
I'm broke.
For a family of 5, that's $335,000 of debt. If you took 20 trillion $1 bills and lined them up from end to end in a straight line, it would reach from the earth to the sun 20 times. All of this spending and debt is going to cause tremendous pressure to raise taxes. Here's what's likely to happen. Some or all of the Bush tax cuts will expire. A value-added tax is actively being considered by Obama's Deficit Commission. Capital gains taxes will go up. Healthcare taxes will be imposed long before benefits are available. Cap and trade taxes will be imposed. The cap on Social Security will be raised. Everybody is going to be affected by some or all of these tax increases. The Congressional Budget Office recently made this announcement. I quote, "U.S. fiscal policy is unsustainable to an extent that can't be solved through minor changes. It's a matter of arithmetic," end quote.